Welcome to the Jewish Task Force, JTF. I'm Chaim Ben Pesach. This video is dedicated to elevating the souls, Ilui Neshamot, for Malka Bat Meir and Allegra Bat Shlomo. Our internet site is jtf.org, jtf.org.
Welcome to Global Insights, and I'm very glad to host today Chaim Ben Pesach from New York. Chaim, welcome.
Thank you so much. It's good to see you again, Alex.
So we are talking now 7 days before the elections. It's a last mile. So we are currently at the stage when some people already have voted, and we have the latest polls. What's your impression so far?
I think the race is extremely close. I think the momentum was beginning to shift toward Donald Trump. He was beginning to move up, and people were seeing that he was gaining. Unfortunately, there was an incident on Sunday that changed that. And now some people think that it's moving in the direction of Kamala Harris. I don't know. It's very, very close. But there was an incident on Sunday. There was a rally for Donald Trump at Madison Square Garden in New York, and a comedian got up and made jokes about Puerto Rico, and they were jokes. But Trump is being blamed for this, and he's being called all kinds of names by the news media, by the left-wing news media, and by the Harris campaign. And so now the trajectory of the campaign has changed once again. So it's very hard to tell. And I'm sure there'll be other incidents from now until Election Day, because every day it's something else. I'm sure there'll be other things from now until Election Day that will change it again. Right now, it looks very, very close. And I'm going to take a big chance here. I'm going to predict who I think is going to win, but it's a big chance because there's a very good chance I'm wrong. I'm going to predict that Donald Trump is going to win. But maybe it's wishful.
Why do you think so? Why?
Because I think that despite the fact that he says stupid things sometimes, and he does stupid things, like the inviting a comedian who makes jokes about Puerto Ricans when the hundreds of thousands of Puerto Rican voters. Despite the fact that he does things like this, I think that Americans remember that when he was president, the economy was better, and foreign policy was better, and national security was better, and the border was much more secure than it is now. People don't have faith in Kamala Harris providing solutions to these problems, and they know that she's been in the White House with Joe Biden and that things have gotten worse. So I think that is in Donald Trump's favor. I could be wrong. Because the media is doing a lot of work now to undermine Trump. The media is obsessively against Trump and obsessively supports Kamala Harris. Israelis are familiar with this because the same thing happens with Benjamin Netanyahu. Every time you have elections in Israel, the media is very much against him too. So
But on the other hand, you can say that social media is playing every year. It's playing more important role and more and more. And in these elections, we see, for example, Joe Rogan interview with Donald Trump, which was a long interview, and I checked it, I think yesterday or day before. It was almost 30 million views, which is a huge number.
Yes.
And no one can control it. It's kind of new media, and it's filmed. On another hand, I can say that I am noticing that the algorithm of YouTube, once they detect kind of pro-Trump videos, they immediately bringing them down. Like algorithm is closing them. So there is a different effect. But on the other hand, I can see that Joe Rogan got a huge number of views, his interview. So will it not affect elections? I think it's affecting elections.
Absolutely. There's no question about it. And Trump has used social media very effectively to promote his message. He did it. That's why he won in 2016. And he's done it very effectively to go over the heads of the media, of the news media, and to go to use social media instead to go directly to the people. He's done that very effectively. So yes, that potentially that could be decisive.
And support of Elon Musk, the owner of Twitter.
Yeah, but Twitter, the only thing is Twitter is smaller. The number of Americans on Twitter is much less than the number of Americans on Facebook or on or Americans on YouTube, which are left wing, which are controlled by the left. So I think it helps him. I think Elon Musk is helping Trump. But the question is, will it be enough? I don't know. I don't know if it'll be enough. I'm guessing, again, I'm just guessing that that Trump, it will be very close, but that Trump will come out ahead. But again, I definitely could be wrong. So far, over 48 million people have voted already. As of the time that we're doing this video, over 48 million people have cast early votes because you can vote weeks in advance in the United States. Because why people wonder why don't you have election on one day? Why do you have weeks in advance? Because a lot of the voters are so lazy that they have to give them weeks just to go to vote. It's ridiculous, but that's the way it works. And out of the over 40 million, or out of the over 48 million people who have voted so far, it's very close. 41% are Democrats, 40% are Republicans, and the other and the rest of the voters are independents. So even among early voters, it's very, very close. We'll see. I mean, we'll see what happens. I could tell you that that a lot of people are very concerned about this election. I've never seen so much interest in an election before, in a presidential election before. It's such intense interest on the part of the public. People who usually don't care about politics, because a lot of Americans don't care about politics. A lot of Americans don't vote, are very apathetic and aren't interested in politics. But this year, there is tremendous interest among the American people in this campaign, and they're following every single detail of what happens in the campaign. That's unusual. And so we're going to have a huge voter turnout, very large voter turnout. I went to vote early, and I was waiting online, and it was a very long line. I've never seen such long lines to vote. I've never seen this before, and this is weeks in advance, and long lines to vote. And this is in New York, which is not even a battleground state. So it's an election but it's an election where, because of the intense interest and because of the fact that so many people are paying attention and so many new people are voting that never voted before, that creates an unpredictability. It's difficult to predict or decipher what's going to happen in the campaign as a result of that. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I think it's going to be.
But you put your bet on Trump.
I'm going to bet on Trump with a lot of hesitation, and I know that I could come out looking wrong over here at the end. But I'm going to put my bet. I'm going to put my bet on Trump, but I'm not really sure. I'm not sure, but I'm going to guess that it's going to be Trump. It could be wishful thinking on my part, because I mean, even though I want to be objective here, I do support Trump. So maybe it's wishful thinking on my part. But I just think that Americans feel, even some of the Democrats feel that they were better off when Trump was president. And I'm thinking that might work in his favor in the end, despite all of the arguments. It has gotten so intense and so ugly, the campaign. The campaign is very ugly. Harris is accusing Trump of being a Nazi. She's calling him a Nazi. She's comparing him to Hitler. I mean, I don't remember that ever happening before in American politics. Politicians call each other names, that you're an extremist, you're unrealistic, you're corrupt. They even said corrupt, but comparing someone to Hitler and calling someone a Nazi, I don't remember that happening before in American politics. It's really shocking what's been happening.
Whatever outcome would be, do you expect riots in the United States? Would the results be accepted?
I don't think there'll be riots, but I don't think the results will be accepted by the other side. I think that if Trump wins, you're going to have people that will not accept it. And if Harris wins, you're going to have people that won't accept that she won. I think they won't be accepted. I think you're going to have bitterness. You're going to have 4 years of bitterness and division and anger. it's going to be a very difficult 4 years for the United States, a very, very tough, a very, very tough 4 year period. And I, as a Jew and a Zionist, when I look at this as a Jew and a Zionist, I look at what the candidates have been saying in the campaign, and I see that there's a difference definitely in the positions between the two candidates. And I think that
may I ask you a question? If I would now talk with just an American, because I guess there is also an American part into you identity. So if we currently forget about that you're a Jew and we forget about the Zionism, as an American, you would make the same choice?
yes, I would, because I think that Trump was better on the border. America's being invaded. You go through cities in the United States, and there are tents all over the sidewalks and streets with miles and miles of tents of people who came into the country illegally. She opened up the border. Kamala Harris opened up the border. And it's causing a lot of crime and a lot of other problems. The cities can't cope. They can't cope with the problem anymore. And I think Americans are worried when they see that. And if I were an American, if I weren't Jewish and I were only looking at the United States, yes, I think that Trump was better for the United States. I think he's better for Israel. I also think that he's better for the United States. I do. Yes.
You don't think that in some aspect the Democrats have a point? I mean, like United States, even we as a Jewish, we know that for Jewish people in Europe, United States was kind of a shelter. You know, like from from Russian Empire, about 3 million Jews escaped and moved. Most of them moved to the United States. And I think today the United States is benefiting from these immigrants and the successors of these immigrants. So maybe there is a point of bringing new blood, new people to United States.
I don't think so. I think, of course, some of them, yes, but I think in most cases, no, because the immigrants that are coming from third world countries are a burden on the United States. I don't think that they're helping the United States. And it's changing the American demographics, and it's changing American culture. And I think Americans are worried about that. I don't think it's good. Also, the illegal immigrants that are coming to the United States, they take jobs away from American citizens. And I think it has a very bad impact on the American economy. So no, I don't think it's beneficial right now. I agree with you that in the 20th century, when immigrants were coming from European countries and were coming to the United States, and America's a nation of immigrants, I agree with you that at that time it was beneficial. But right now, I don't think it is. I think it's, and most Americans don't think it is. Polls show overwhelmingly the American people want the border secured. They do not agree with opening the border. They do not agree with this policy. The United States is being overrun. And you see this also in European countries, in Western Europe and in Eastern Europe less, because in Eastern Europe they have stricter controls. But you see countries being overrun in Europe as well, and in Europe you also see a backlash among the people who are concerned that this is going to change the whole culture and change the demographics and change the whole country. And I think that they have a legitimate point. I think it does.
Okay.
I think one of the interesting things that happened in the campaign lately, going back just to the Jewish thing, just for a second, one of the interesting things happened. Donald Trump came out before Israel struck Iran recently, retaliated against Iran. Donald Trump said that Israel should destroy and attack Iran's nuclear program. He urged Netanyahu to attack the nuclear program, and Kamala Harris said, no, don't do it. She said, do not do it. And she pressured Israel not to do it. And Israel didn't do it in the end. Netanyahu didn't do it in the end. Americans were very surprised. They really expected Israel to attack the nuclear program and to attack the oil fields in Iran. And Trump urged Netanyahu to do it. And he didn't do it. And people were really surprised. That really shocked especially Republicans and Trump supporters. Republicans and Trump supporters very much wanted Israel to attack Iran's nuclear program, and they were actually disappointed when he didn't. Um, but you see competing pressures here on Israel from the two sides. You see completely different visions of what should happen in the Middle East, and it's
As we are approaching elections now, do you see any shift in the support of the Jews, of the American Jews?
1 second. I'm sorry. I lost you for a minute.
As we are approaching the elections, do you feel any change in the in the support of the American Jews and how they intend to vote?
Yes, I do think that Jews will vote more Republican than they have in the past. I think that you'll have a larger number of Jews who vote Republican. You have two completely different Jewish communities in America. You have the Orthodox Jews, the religious Jews, and you have the non-Orthodox, non-religious Jews. The Orthodox Jews are 10% of American Jews, and the non-religious are 90%. The 10% that's Orthodox, they're going to vote 95% for Trump. It's going to be overwhelming. Literally, there are literally neighborhoods in where you have almost no votes for the Democrats in Orthodox Jewish neighborhoods. And then you have the non-religious who are not, many of them are not concerned about Israel. Many of them are not interested in Israel. They're voting because of abortion and all these other issues, and many of them are liberal. So many of them are going to vote for Harris. But I think a larger percentage are going to vote for Trump now, because Harris, even during the campaign, even in the middle of the campaign, Harris has been threatening Israel with an arms embargo. Someone heckled her in Wisconsin. Someone got up and interrupted. She was speaking in Wisconsin. Someone got up and interrupted and screamed, "What are you doing about the genocide that Israel's committing in Gaza?" Someone got up and started screaming that at her. And he was removed from the audience. But after he was removed, she said, this is Kamala Harris, she said, what he was saying is reality. That's reality, that there's genocide, Israel's committing genocide in Gaza. These are things that even Jewish liberals don't agree with that. They don't agree there's genocide. And then we had the latest incident. We had the past few days of the controversy that affects Jewish voters with UNRWA, the UN agency that was participated in the October 7th attacks, and that has completely supported Hamas. And Kamala Harris and the Biden administration have complained that Israel should allow them to continue to operate. And
they urged Israel to cancel the new law forbidding any connections to this UNRWA.
Right, right. And so those are issues where Jewish voters, certainly Jewish voters that are pro-Israel, are very concerned about Kamala Harris. And and how is she going to pressure Israel if she wins? She's going to begin a campaign of pressure on Israel. She's going to threaten an arms embargo. And the method of pressure, the method that they're going to use are sanctions. They're going to put sanctions on Israeli soldiers, accuse them of war crimes. They're going to put sanctions on Israeli politicians. They started already with sanctions on the Hilltop Youth in Judea and Samaria. They started that. That was their experiment to see if they could get away with this. And now they're going to expand that to other sanctions. It's going to be difficult for Israelis to travel outside of Israel if you have these types of sanctions. So this is something most Jews don't agree with that. Even a lot of the Jewish liberals, that they don't agree with. They think that's going too far. So we'll see how it affects the Jewish vote. The Jewish vote is very important in Pennsylvania, in Michigan, in Arizona, in Georgia, in the suburbs of Atlanta, in the state of Georgia. These are all battleground states. We have 7 battleground states, and at least 4 or 5 of the battleground states, Jews are an important voting group in those states. But she's concerned also about the Arab and Muslim voters. There are more Muslims in America than Jews. and there are more Muslim voters in America than Jews, and she's worried about that group. And so there are competing interests here that are at play here, and we'll see how it plays out. She's now, I don't know, by the way, how Jews are going to react with her calling Trump a Nazi and calling him and comparing him to Hitler, which I don't know. I think that's really, really going way out of bounds. It's completely absurd. But still, she's doing that in the campaign, and there may be Jews who think that maybe he is a Nazi. Maybe, I mean, there may be Jews that think that way. Jewish liberals, assimilated Jewish liberals in the United States. It's possible. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. I can tell you this, that I am getting so much mail and so many, just as a voter. I'm not talking about this as someone who does videos and someone who's an activist. Just as a voter, I'm getting so much mail, and I'm getting so many SMS messages and others from the two campaigns. I never saw anything like this before. Hundreds, literally hundreds of messages I'm getting. I think people after a while will stop looking at their messages. I have, because I can't read hundreds of messages. I can't. And this is something that the voters are being bombarded by the two campaigns. Harris has a big advantage money-wise. Very big advantage. She has like $3 or $4 billion for her campaign. Trump has about $1.5 billion.
Because she's connected to all the big corporations, more or less.
Yes. And Trump also has billionaires who support him, like Elon Musk. I think Elon Musk is the richest person in the world, if I'm not mistaken. So, he's also giving a lot of money. And of course, Miriam Adelson, she's contributing a lot of money to Trump. So he has his billionaires, but most of the big money is for Kamala Harris. Most of them support her. And so she has a big money advantage. So if you watch television, every minute you'll see another commercial for Kamala Harris. Every minute you see something else. That plus the fact that the news media supports her, that gives her a big advantage. But you're right about social media. On social media, I see more videos for Trump than for Harris. I see more independent people who do videos with a lot of views.
I think that more and more people spend more time on social media and not on the standard news outlets, TV, whatsoever. We know that in our new reality, we are more connected to the news, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, whatsoever. And then you get different opinions, and usually also get something you want to see. So once you're a right-wing person, you will see probably more of that content, because it's tailored for you.
Yes, that's how it works. And you're right. When I was a child, 60 years ago, when I was a child, 70% of the American people watched the news on television every night. 70%. Now it's maybe 15%, 20%. And it's by age. Older people in my generation, for instance, I'm 68 years old, older people in my generation are more likely to continue to watch television and listen to the radio and read newspapers. They're more likely to do that, whereas younger people, very few younger people watch television anymore. They're very small numbers of people who watch television, listen to the radio. It's radio programs. Radio was so popular 50 or 60 years ago because they played the new music and everything else on radio stations, and young people listened to it. Everybody listened to it. Now, the average age of people who listen to radio is in the 70s. People in their 70s. That's their average age. People don't do that anymore. People go to
even while they're driving a car, more and more people, they're listening to podcasts. They're using different online platforms, and also listening or watching YouTube. Yeah, that's the reality.
Yes, that is the reality, and that benefits Trump. Because, again, I think if everything was even, I think if they both had equal access to the American people, I think Trump would win. Trump would win, I think, easily. The problem is it's still not that way, because even in social media, even there you see Google, Facebook, Instagram, they have a left-wing tilt. And so, their algorithms benefit supporters of Harris and supporters of the left. And it's been shown that way. On Twitter, of course, Trump has the advantage because of Elon Musk. But so even in social media, we see this playing out. We see the difference between the right and the left, and the divides between the right and the left playing out on social media. And again, I could be wrong, but my guess is that Americans are, I think issues like inflation really bother the American people. Americans go to the grocery store and they see prices going up so quickly. I think this bothers them when they go to fill their car with gasoline. I think it bothers them. They see that the price of gas has gone up, that the heating oil has gone up, that groceries have gone up. Interest rates are triple what they were. The interest rates are triple what they were under Donald Trump. Inflation was 1% under Donald Trump. Now it's 7 or 8%. That's a tremendous difference. And so people who work for a living, their money is worth much less when they go to purchase. And that I think really bothers people. And so even traditional Democrat voting groups like black voters and Latino voters who traditionally vote Democrat, when they go and see inflation, I think, and high interest rates, I think that bothers them.
Okay, Chaim Ben Pesach, thank you very much, and we are all with the eyes on the elections. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alex. Thank you.
Stay tuned on Global Insights.